Have you ever felt surrounded by problems on all sides, as if the enemy was lurking, ready to destroy your peace, your faith, your hope, and worse? Did you feel like you were alone in this battle? For pay attention, what you see with your natural eyes is not all that is happening. There is a spiritual world all around you, real, pulsating, invisible, where heavenly armies are being mobilized on your behalf. And there is an invisible angel, a silent warrior who has already surrounded the enemy, long before you even notice the attack. Today, I'm going to tell you a Bible story that almost no one else tells with the depth that you'll hear here. A story of spiritual revelation, supernatural faith, and divine protection that will open your eyes. Literally, you'll discover that Elisha wasn't alone, and neither are you. There's a heavenly army positioned around you, ready to act. But before I continue, let me ask you something important. Are you already subscribed to this channel? Because there are many people who watch our videos and haven't subscribed yet, and end up missing out on content like this, which brings spiritual truths that can transform your life. So sign up now, turn on notifications, and stay with me until the end. Because today you will understand what happens in the invisible when you decide to live by faith. There was a tense atmosphere in the air. The king of Syria, frustrated by having his war plans against Israel constantly thwarted, did not understand how. His secret strategies were being exposed. Each ambush attempt was anticipated, as if someone were spying on the very thoughts of the throne. But it was not a spy. It was something much greater. It was the spiritual world at work. There was Elisha, God's prophet, discerning everything through spiritual revelation, and the heavenly army was moving in favor of the chosen people. The text of 2 Kings 6:8-14 shows us that the angels of the Bible do not act only in symbolic or miraculous moments. They are present in political situations, real conflicts, and they manifest themselves silently, without the carnal eyes noticing. It was then that the king of Syria made a radical decision to send horses, chariots, and a great army, not against a city, but against a single man, a prophet. It seems exaggerated, doesn't it? But when the enemy realizes that someone has access to the spiritual world, he trembles. It's curious how this scene resembles many that we experience today. When someone takes a stand with supernatural faith, they begin to be persecuted by situations that seem disproportionate. Problems arise from all sides, as if hidden forces were trying to suffocate hope. But you see, this is no coincidence. It is a spiritual battle. Elisha represents one who has keen spiritual vision. He sees what others do not see, and that is why the enemy moves with such fury. The invisible angel was already there. The heavenly army was already ready. Divine protection had already been released before the attack even arrived. But as in our lives, we do not always realize this right away. And here is the lesson. Many times we are surrounded, not to be destroyed, but so that the glory of God may be manifested. The spiritual world is not silent. It is in constant movement, and each visible challenge is only the reflection of a spiritual war that is happening behind the veil. But there are angels of fire all around us, prepared to act at the right time. And that brings us to the next moment of this journey. When Elisha's servant opened his eyes at dawn, he had no idea that morning would be different from all the others. When he got up and looked around, his soul froze. Soldiers, horses, chariots, the enemy had surrounded the city. Despair struck hard in his chest, as it does when we feel completely cornered by problems we cannot face alone. It was then that he ran to Elisha, distressed, and asked, "Alas, my lord, what shall we do?" 2 Kings 6:15. The young man was trapped by what he saw. His vision was limited to the physical world, but Elisha, with the serenity of one who knows the backstage of heaven, responded with one of the most powerful statements in Scripture: "Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Verse 16. What an answer! In the midst of the threat, he spoke calmly, almost as if he saw no danger. But the truth is that he saw with the eyes of faith. He saw with spiritual vision. Then Elisha prayed, "Lord, I pray, open his eyes so he may see." Verse 17. And at that moment the sky was torn open before the servant. He saw what had previously been invisible, a heavenly army surrounding Elisha with horses and chariots of fire. It was the invisible angel becoming visible through faith. It was confirmation that the spiritual battle was already being won before it even began. And so it is with us. How many times have we cried like that servant, asking, "What do I do now?" without knowing that there are angels from the Bible all around us in combat positions, part of a heavenly army designated by divine protection. We need to pray like Elisha. Lord, open my eyes, because only then will we understand that spiritual warfare is not won with human weapons, but with supernatural faith and trust in God. The fiery angels are there, even when we cannot see them. And this spiritual revelation changes everything. Fear is transformed into courage, doubt into faith, and despair into worship. But this battle still has more to teach us. There is something profoundly revealing about the way the angels of the Bible operate. They do not arrive announcing themselves with trumpets, nor do they seek the spotlight. They simply obey. In the episode of Elisha, the heavenly army was all in position before the servant even saw it, ready to intervene, even if in silence. This teaches us one of the most powerful lessons of the spiritual life. The greatest deliverances often happen in the unseen. It is on this sacred ground of the spiritual world that the invisible angel acts with precision. He does not need to be seen to be effective. He acts like a warrior on the lookout, attentive to the orders of heaven, ready to confront enemy forces that we do not even imagine exist. His silence is not passivity, it is divine strategy, and if our eyes could see, perhaps we would fall to our knees when contemplating how many battles have been won without us knowing that we were in danger. These fiery angels are part of a heavenly army trained not to entertain, but to wage war. They are on a mission. They are sent to fight evil, protect God's children, and ensure that promises are not interrupted by opposing forces. And it is no exaggeration to say that every prayer made in faith is a call for reinforcement in this field of spiritual warfare. Have you ever stopped to think how many times you have been protected by a force you did not see? How many accidents, spiritual attacks, or traps have been neutralized because of the silent intervention of an angel? Divine protection is not limited to visible miracles. It moves in secret behind the scenes of the spiritual world, where the invisible angel fights battles that our senses do not capture. But the effects? Oh, they are manifest. Inexplicable peace, doors that open, dangers that disappear out of nowhere. All of this is the fruit of this silent war. And the most beautiful thing, God wants us to know this so that we trust in Him, even when nothing seems to be happening, because in the invisible there is already movement, and that's exactly why we need to look around with different eyes, because maybe right now you're surrounded, but not by the enemy, but by something bigger. Perhaps the greatest spiritual revelation that this episode of Elisha brings us is precisely this: we too are surrounded, not by coincidence or luck, but by a heavenly army. The angels of the Bible are not characters from ancient stories. They are living, present realities, acting in today's time. Yes, today, spiritual warfare has not ceased. It has only become more subtle in the eyes of those who lack discernment. We live in a time when many people prefer to believe only in what they see. And that is why so many walk around in fear, anxiety, and despair, because they have lost the ability to perceive the spiritual world. And here is the point. If your spiritual eyes were opened, what would you see? Perhaps fiery angels guarding your house. Perhaps heavenly warriors surrounding your bedside in times of illness. Perhaps the invisible angel warding off evil while you prayed in silence. This is why we need to develop a supernatural faith that goes beyond appearances. Hebrews 1:14 reminds us, "Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who will be heirs of salvation?" These angels are around us for a purpose, to protect, guide, deliver, and remind us that divine protection is real, constant, and personalized. But here's a warning: they do not act apart from our life with God. When we distance ourselves, we open gaps. When we live in holiness, we activate coverage. It's not magic, it's a covenant. If there's anything we should learn from Elisha, it's that we need to be so connected to heaven that we discern the invisible naturally. This is cultivated through prayer, fasting, reading the Word, and consecrated living. And if you ask yourself, are the angels really with me? Remember, it's not a feeling, it's faith. The Bible guarantees it. The question is, are you walking in tune with heaven? Because angels are not moved by emotion, but by divine order. And God sends his angels where he sees active faith, where he sees someone who believes even without seeing. Ultimately, what sets Elisha apart from his servant is not social status, clothing, or life experience. It is spiritual vision. Elisha lives with the eyes of his spirit open, while the servant sees only what his natural eyes allow. And that, my friend, changes everything. The presence of the angels in the Bible is not a privilege of ancient prophets. It is a reality accessible to all who live in alliance with the God of hosts. Spiritual warfare is daily, silent, but decisive. And if you want to win, it is not enough to just know that there is a heavenly army. You must position yourself with supernatural faith, with boldness, with holiness. The spiritual revelation we receive throughout this story is not mystical knowledge. It is a practical call. Live as if you are surrounded by the heavens, not by problems. It's time to stop reacting like the servant and start acting like Elisha. How? Start by praying with purpose. Read the Bible with hunger. When you worship, worship with surrender. When you fast, do so as if you were marching on the battlefield. God responds to this kind of faith. And when this happens, the fiery angels move. The invisible angel comes into action. Divine protection intensifies. The spiritual world reorganizes itself in your favor. You are not alone. You never have been. But now that you know this, the responsibility is yours. Will you live as someone who fears what they see, or as someone who trusts in what they cannot see? This is what faith is. Walking without seeing, but knowing that there is an invisible hand holding yours. And that hand commands an army. And that army is already around you. And now I ask you, do you believe that there are angels surrounding your life at this very moment? Have you ever experienced something that seemed impossible to explain, as if an invisible force had protected or guided you? Share it here in the comments. I want to know how this message spoke to your faith. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. Activate the bell so you don't miss any of the next videos, because with each new content, the sky reveals a little more to you. And take advantage now. Click on the next video that will appear on the screen, because God still wants to show you something powerful about the spiritual world that you may never have realized. I am Valentino, and may the angels of the Lord camp around your home and your heart. The peace of Christ. And until the next video.